Brother Russell, in reprint 3325, wrote a wonderful article on John's experience, and it was presented in a way that stimulated several questions. We will be presenting his viewpoints and personal viewpoints on this complex prophecy for your consideration. Let's get into it. Mark 6, 19 and 20. So Herodias bore a grudge against John and wanted to kill him. But without Herod's approval, she was powerless. For Herod respected John, and knowing that he was a good and holy man, he protected him. Now, Herod was amused by John, but he was a threat to Herodias. So, from Brother Russell's perspective, how does this show an end time picture for the church? First, let's list the characters and what we understand them to picture. Brother Brian did this earlier. We believe John pictures the feet members of the church at the very end of the harvest. Herod represents governmental or civil power. Herodias pictures the Catholic Church system, the mother church. Lastly, Salome, the stepdaughter, represents the Protestant systems collectively, the daughter systems. Why was John so disturbed in making accusations against Herod and Herodias? It was an illicit union. We believe it pictures a government and religion in bed together, just like Herod and Herodias. Only Jesus from heaven has that right to be king and priest. Brother Russell was convinced John's final experience pictured a church state union at the very end of the age. Jesus reminds us that John pictures Elijah, and we know Elijah pictures the final experiences of the church. Let's read what Jesus said in Matthew 11, 13 through 15. For before John came, all the prophets and the law of Moses look forward to this present time. And if you are willing to accept what I say, he, John the Baptist, is Elijah, the one of the prophets said would come. Now let's read Elijah's final experience, 2 Kings 2, 8 and 11. Elijah took his mantle, or a cloak, and folded it together and struck the water. And they were divided here and there. As they were going along and talking, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, which separated the two of them. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind to heaven. In the picture of Elijah, we see a division of the people. A fiery chariot separates Elijah and Elisha, and Elijah taken up in the whirlwind. Brother Russell is pointing out the division of the peoples of society. He also shows the separation of Elijah, the true church, and Elisha, the great multitude. Elijah was taken up in a whirlwind, which pictures the church raised to heavenly glory. Brother Russell correlates John's experience to the dividing work as a pronouncement against the unlawful church-state union at the end of the age. Brother Russell describes Christendom's fear in volume 3, page 231, quote, "It will probably be in an effort at self-preservation on the part of great Babylon, Christendom, when she sees her power waning, that the work of the truth spreading will be stopped as detrimental to her system. And probably at this juncture, the Elijah class, persisting in declaring the truth to the last, will suffer violence, pass into glory, and escape from the severest features of the great time of trouble," end quote. Let's read Isaiah 8, 11 through 13, which we believe prophesies us standing against this illicit union. Verse 11, "For thus the Lord spoke to me with mighty power, instructed me not to walk in the way of this people." Let's pause. Who are the people? Those in the church state power. And what are they saying at this point? Verse 12, "You are not to say it is a conspiracy." In other words, be quiet. Don't say it's a conspiracy or else. Verse 12, then, they turn to the people and say, "In regard to all that this people call a conspiracy, you are not to fear what they fear or dread what they dread." Well, they're basically saying to the people, don't listen to them or us, brethren. Verse 13, "It is the Lord of hosts whom you should regard as holy, and he shall be your fear, and he shall be your dread." So, brethren, we should not fear man and what they can do to us. We should revere God and trust in his plan. Psalm 2, verse 2. The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers take plot together against the Lord and his anointed. This is why Brother Russell told us that socialism for a time will arise to take drastic measures to remove their threat, which is us. Their enemy is the truth. If liberties will be restrained and they try to shut down all the truth outlets, how will the brotherhood divide the waters of truth and error? By being ready in advance. Habakkuk 2:3 says, though it tarry, wait for it. We are not to be taken unaware, like it says in Luke 21:34. Let's now return to our story about Herod and Herodias and see how this may connect. Mark 6:21 through 23. A strategic day came when Herod on his birthday gave a banquet for his lords and military commanders, and when the daughter of Herodias, Salome, came in and danced, she pleased Herod and her dinner guests. And the king said to the girl, ask me for whatever you want, and I will give it to you. And he swore to her, I will give you up to half of my kingdom. To sum up, it was Herod's birthday feast, and Salome, his brother's daughter, danced seductively for Herod. Herod was so excited by Salome's dance that he offered her half his kingdom. Now let's paraphrase what Brother Russell wrote in reprint 3325. Herodias was still plotting and determined to take advantage of Herod's birthday festival. She knew his disposition, and on such occasions that he would be drinking much wine, and it was a custom to have entertainment with dancing girls. So Herodias coached her daughter, and her scheme was extremely successful. So if the picture holds true, the Protestants will be asking the Catholic Church how to remove the threat, which are the footstep followers of Jesus. Volume 2, page 261 says, quote, the nominal churches, allegedly virgins of Christ, will be on the side of the kings of the earth and united to them. And the true church, like its type, John the Baptist, will be unpopular and restrained of liberty because of faithfulness in opposing and condemning error. In John's case, as well as Elijah's, it was a woman, Herodias and Jezebel, that persecuted a king, acting as her agent and tool, end quote. How do the Protestants receive all this power? This is explained in the foreword of Volume 4. The Protestant Federation realizes that its organization will continue to be futile unless it receives vitalization, unless its clergy, directly or indirectly, shall be recognized as possessed of apostolic ordination or apostolic succession and have authority to teach. This is the prophecy, and it indicates it will come from the two-horned beast, and that's found in Revelation 13. And Brother Russell says, which we believe symbolically represents the Church of England. Now today, this is the Episcopal Church. The high-handed activities of Protestantism and Catholicism operating in conjunction for the suppression of human liberties await its vilifying of the image, which represents the Protestants. This may come soon, but Armageddon cannot precede it, but must follow, end quote. The following is one of the last things Brother Russell wrote before his death in Volume 3, forward, page 4, quote, for a little while, there will be a great triumph of churchianity. Both Catholics and Protestants will share in this triumph, and both political and financial princes will encourage it, hoping for the prolongation of their power. At that time, we may expect strong opposition from churchianity upon the true faithful followers of Jesus, resulting in serious persecutions, perhaps even unto death. But the triumph of Babylon will be short, never to rise again, end quote. Back to the story with Salome. Immediately she came in and hurried to the king and said, I want you to give me at once the head of John the Baptist on a platter. And although the king was very sorry, yet because of his oath, because of his dinner guests, he was unwilling to refuse her. He promised, and there were witnesses. Here's a thought. Wouldn't it be interesting if Protestants accept apostolic succession from the Church of England since for hundreds of years they told the Catholic Church that apostolic succession had no value? That's hypocrisy in its fullest. Another thought, wouldn't it be interesting if the Protestants persecute and destroy people's lives when they identified the Catholic Church as the Antichrist during the Dark Ages for doing the same thing? Again, hypocrites, just like the scribes and Pharisees did to Jesus and his followers at his first advent. Another possible parallel. What kind of delusions could deceive the very elect? 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 7. Let no one in any way deceive you, for it will not come unless the apostasy comes first. The man of lawlessness is revealed, and the son of destruction, which opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship, so that he sits in the seat of the temple, displaying himself as being God. In this time he will be revealed, for the mystery of lawlessness is already at work, for all power and signs and false wonders and all the deception of wickedness, brethren, expect the unexpected. Matthew 24, 23 through 25. Then if anyone tells you, look, here is the Messiah, or there he is, don't believe it. For the false messiahs and false prophets will rise and perform great signs and wonders so as to deceive, if possible, even God's chosen ones. If this is the process God chooses to bring his children home, what wisdom? Why? So no man may boast or glory in themselves, and at this stage, especially the Protestants. Every heart will be humbled at resurrection. Brother Russell suggested several times that fallen angels will have great power for the deception at the very end times. Expect the unexpected. How could artificial intelligence be a great deception? Expect the unexpected. It is my prayer that we will all be strong and not let fear overtake us. However things unfold, we need to prepare for anything. Expect the unexpected. God's timing and God's way is best. This reprint article 3325 provoked questions I haven't thought about before, and I thought I would share some of those with you at the chagrin of some. Since we believe that Salome pictures the Protestants, the question came to mind, what country has the most Protestants in number to persecute the true church? The United States has the largest, 160 million. That's 37% of all Protestants in the world. So that is the largest portion. Let's read Mark 6:21. A strategic day came. Strategic day means a well-timed or opportune day when Herod on his birthday gave a banquet for his lords and military commanders. I see this as a special birthday, a big day. This reminds me of Daniel 3:1-3, when all the officials were summoned to worship the image. You know, Brother Russell taught us that the image of the beast represents Protestantism. The next question that came to mind from the article is, when is Herod's birthday? Well, since the United States has the most Protestants, it might be referring to America's birthday, since Herod represents governments. America was born on the 4th of July in 1776. Most of the founders saw God's hand in its inception. The last big birthday celebration of the United States was the bicentennial in 1976. We all remember that. So when is the next big birthday celebration in the United States? How about the 250th birthday? Could that be a strategic day? What date would that bring us to? The 4th of July, 2026. The name of this celebration will be called the Quarter Millennial. Is it possible that persecution could begin in several years from now? Maybe, we don't know. We're not sure. But I find this fascinating. Herod's title was Herod the Tetrarch, meaning a ruler of a quarter. America's celebration will be called a quarter millennial. In the prophecy of Matthew 24:34, it says, "This generation shall not pass away till all these things be fulfilled." This generation is the generation that witnessed Israel becoming a nation in 1948. A 12-year-old, which saw Israel become a nation in 1948, would be 90 years of age in the year 2026. This timing seems to be reasonable. Now, brethren, these are all just suggestions, questions that came to my mind. We don't live and die by dates. We've seen dates come and go, haven't we? But the point is, keep looking. In conclusion, what should be our focus if these things take place in a few short years or longer? We need to love our enemies no matter what the future circumstances may bring. Remember, it is Satan blinding the minds of mankind. They just can't help themselves. Let John's experience motivate us to faithfulness and to have the same courage and strength he did to proclaim Messiah and stand for truth.